Ena mana, ena reo, ena iwi, e ro rangatira ma, no mai hare mai, piki mai, whakatau mai. We'll start with a karakia, me inoi tato. Nā mihi o te rā, ki te whānau e hui hui nei, ki a tau te rangi maria, ki a tau, ki a whakatapo tato, me nā mei, e whakapono ana tato, humi e, hui e, taiki. Over to you, Rania.
Nā mihi nui iho. Tēnā koutou katoa, kua hui mai nei ki tēnei hui huinga. No mai, haere mai. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us again, or for the first time, for our third session in our spring webinar series, He Rau Papatanga o Te Koanga. So our kaupapa o te rā is online meetings and events tools for not-for-profits. Ko waio, no tia mana hau, engari kei te whanganuiatara tōku kainga. I tai mai au ki tēnei whenua te kaumari matau ki muri. I nui tōku aroha ki Aotearoa I mihi ana ki te tangata whenua I konei. Ko Ronya Ivers tōku ingoa, ki kai whakahaere kaupapa hau ki hui community Aotearoa. So I hail all the way from Germany and now live in Wellington. I arrived here about 15 years ago and deeply acknowledge the people of this land. My name is Ronya Ivers and I'm one of the project managers at Hui Community Aotearoa. So for those of you who don't know who we are a peak body to champion and tautoko the mahi of our tangata whenua, community and voluntary groups in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And it's my real pleasure to be your guide for today for this kōrero today. So te mea tuatai. So first up, just a little bit of house Zoom keeping. I know that we probably by now are all experts with Zoom, and you've noticed that we're recording this hui, so we do that with all our online hui so that we can share them afterwards with a wider audience. Please remain on mute unless you would like to speak, and really encourage you to use the chat function to make comments, post links and post any parties for our speakers. I really invite you to engage with us as much as you can. And please start by telling us who you are and where you're tuning in from in the chat. That would be lovely. So our spring webinar series is an opportunity for peer-to-peer learning, and this time we wanted to provide you with a special series centered on finding the best technology for you and your team. So we've already run 2 sessions on finance and payroll and marketing and comms. And today we hope that you go away with a better understanding of the tools available to help you with your online meetings and event planning, and how to use technology to help you build your community. So we're really grateful to our partner, the NZ Navigator Trust, who are a small committed charity that equip community groups with online tools. And they've got a fantastic new platform running since last year's for digital stuff we love. And they'll talk about that later today as well. Of course, we're extremely grateful to our kai kōrero, our speakers, who spent time preparing and sharing their knowledge and experience with us. And for this series specifically, we asked them a couple of questions, but around what tech tool sparks their fire and how it makes their lives easier running a community group. I'd like to introduce our first kai kōrero, Vic Crockford. So Vic is highly skilled in stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement, management probably too, government relations, media and policy development. In addition to leadership and advocacy, she also brings with her a strong reputation for turning opportunities into outcomes and building collaborative relationships across private and government sectors. She has a long-standing personal interest in housing, especially accessible housing, and has family connections with construction and housing infrastructure. So the tech tool that sparks her fire is Board Pro. And Vic, you shared with us that with the additional compliance and staff support requirement that have come about due to the pandemic, being able to communicate with your council easily and securely through Board Pro has been great. You like the agenda building and the meeting planning features, and it makes taking minutes more streamlined too. So Nā mai haere mai, kei a kua. So welcome and over to you, Vic.
O ngā mihi ki a koe, Ronya. Thank you for that warm welcome, and kia ora koutou. Thank you for having me. Yes, sparks my fire, Board Pro. As Ronya said, I'm the Chief Executive at Community Housing Aotearoa. We're a peak body for the community housing sector. So we're a membership organisation, and our structure is incorporated society. So we have a council that governs us as opposed to a board. And that council holds steady year to year in terms of a few members, undertaking multi-year terms. We have a couple of appointed members as part of our council, but we do have quite a high turnover of elected members and on a year-on-year basis. And what that means for us in terms of our governance is that we often have a requirement to educate a new set of governors, and we spend, therefore, a lot of time thinking through ways that are going to make that easier on us, but also, really importantly, going to make it a great streamlined process for our council members who are voluntarily giving their time to govern our organisation, and are also community housing providers. And so really, really busy themselves at the moment and always. And certainly, if I just draw on the thread there that from Ronya's comment about COVID, I started in my role 3 days before we went into the Delta lockdown in August last year. And very, very quickly, we became a crisis management organisation, and at that time we were a team of 6, now 9, but at that time we were a team of 6. They had me as the new CE transitioning in, and we had a requirement to engage with our members, as I'm sure many of you did too, on a very, very regular basis. And that included with our council. So we tend to have monthly meetings with our council, but I was liaising with our council on a bi-weekly basis in some way, shape or form in the early days of COVID, just because there was so much engagement going on with government and also so much guidance required for the sector. And at that point, I realised what a time vampire the process that we had was when it came to how we engage at that governance level, particularly how we were organising meetings and getting out documents. And when I put my privacy lens on, because I was very quickly became the privacy officer for the organisation as we evolved to adapt to the Privacy Act 2020. And I'd had some background in privacy in my previous roles. I realised as well that there had to be a more secure way of engaging with our members. And so we looked around and we engaged with our membership base on the tools they were using, and the resounding tool that came through was Board Pro. So I don't have anything to show you, because by logging into our Board Pro, that would breach those very privacy principles that I am charged with being the officer for in our organisation. But what I am going to talk to you about is the key things that it's made easier for us, and the ways in which it's enabled our staff to focus on things other than, administration of governance. So the first thing I would say is that as a time-poor organisation like most of our sector, Board Pro is really easy to learn to use. So that's my first key point, is that it's been designed to be straightforward to learn, intuitive in terms of its interface, and just not too complicated. It does the really basic things that you need a governance tool to do really well. And so that includes, portals for governance documents, and a place for governance documents to live in a login only environment. Includes agenda building for meetings. So it remembers the last agenda, and it pulls in the minutes from the last meeting automatically. And it remembers things like your interests register, and it remembers things like your key governance documents that you want to have attached from meeting to meeting. So it makes all of that really straightforward. And then the third thing that I found really fantastic when you're really busy is that it sends you scheduled reminders about the agreed actions from the meetings. So as long as you log in during the meeting, who's responsible for each action in the minutes, those people get a reminder to say, hey, on the 24th of November, you are expected to have done A, B, or C as per the actions from the last meeting. And I've found that really helpful because, lots of our council members are supporting us in our advocacy, and we're working to really tight government timelines. And for us to be project managing some of that work, it's just another layer of admin. But when the tool is already set up to automatically remind you on a regular basis, it really takes that one cognitive load away. So those are the three things: easy to use, secure for governance documents in a login only environment, and great agenda building and action follow-up. So for us, that has taken away the need for our deputy CE and I to do a lot of admin in the lead up to council, and also for Ngahuia, our executive administrator. Her time is really focused on the support of our governance body, of our council members, in terms of what they need to get to meetings, whether they need follow-up on anything. It's a much more supportive, as opposed to transactional, here are the 10 documents, following up. Someone just asked a really good question about the cost, and that was going to be my other point, is that I think probably for a lot of small organisations it is still prohibitively expensive. What we did is, when we looked at our budget, we said, we know that the time this is going to save us is worth it for us, because it means that, Chris, our deputy, who is a policy expert, is going to have more time to focus on submissions and leading the team that works on all of our policy issues, and Ngahui is going to have more time for that supportive work that we know she does so well with our council and our wider membership base. So we were able to balance that out, but it does run high as a cost. If I'm correct, it's between $2,500 and $3,000. I'd have to double check that, but they did give us a discount for the per year cost. Not a huge one, but we were just talking about it before everyone came on. I think there's a real advocacy piece here around what a not-for-profit or community sector package could look like. Thanks, Barbara. Based on size of budget. Yep. And they do have a basic one, and then like a more like a gold standard version as well, and we just have the basic one. But I think there's a massive market for them, for want of a better word, for them to have a package that works specifically for not-for-profit and community organisations, because frankly, I think we're the ones most in need of having some really, really valuable time back in our lives. So, if anyone's keen for a bit of advocacy around that, one thing I will say is that I did engage with them directly rather than just go online and sign up. And that way I went to their customer support staff, and what they did do was respond with a bit of a bespoke training package for us, knowing that we were completely new to it, and they did that for free. So I think there's real appetite there to engage, which is fantastic, and that was really helpful. So yeah, you're seeing the cost come through in the chat there. So for us, I think it's closer to that 3,000 mark per year that we're paying. Cool. That was all I really had. But look, blow the trumpet. If you can make it work for your budget, it is just has been an absolute time saver for us, and we really, really love using it. And it gives me assurances around security and security of information, which I think is something that we should all be turning our minds to. yeah, so any more questions?
Yeah, so if you have some questions there for those in the room, please type them in the chat, or you're also very welcome to ask them directly.
I have a question. Is it 3,200 for you because you've got the best kind of like deal, or did you go for the basic bit?
We went for standard. I think it's a little bit less than that 3,200. Okay, I think I'm right. It's between 2.5.
If you're a incorporated society, are you signed up with them as a non-for-profit or?
Yes, as a non-for-profit. Yep, that's right. Yep.
Now, I think the only thing I'll just add is some of the funders we work with, usually like the really good ones, will allow NGOs and non-for-profit, like in general, to add admin costs to the budgets or the funding that they request. So if this is something that could help your organization in a big way, try and add it to that funding request, and maybe it'll be approved.
Mm. And so, Marion, thanks for your comment about it being a big time saver for board and governance people also. So not just for the Kaimahi, but for the Kaitiaki as well. And also acts as a bit of a storehouse for docs like the trust deed.
And look, we've got quite a good system. I asked over the years, the team here has done a fantastic job of organising documentation, but we all know the headache of trying to find documents in the files sometimes. So removing that particular headache is pretty great too.
Great. So if there are no more questions, but definitely, I think there's definitely an opportunity for us to pull together and make a case to Board Pro about creating a not-for-profit one. So there's a question. Do you want to go take that one?
Yeah, I just saw that come through. No, you don't. No. So we have as a backup, we have all of our governance documents still saved to our files. I think we have backup options for everything, and in particular those. So no, you don't lose that work, and you have the ability to download agendas into PDF and download minutes into PDF, so they can live in the app, or that you can download them and still circulate things via email too, if that's your preference. But the functionality, the distribution system that Board Pro has is just so good that we haven't done that, but you can download everything so that it's yours to retain. Yeah.
But it doesn't sync to your document management system, to whatever you use.
It might do in the gold standard, but it doesn't in the basic one, no.
Great. So no more pātai on Board Pro. And the mihi nui ki a koe e hoa. Thank you so much, Vic, for your time, for your kōrero. And I know you will have to dash off a little bit earlier. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So next, I'd love to introduce you to our next speaker, Dr. Claire Ahmed. She is the Chief Executive of Social Service Providers Aotearoa, a membership-based peak body for Aotearoa New Zealand's community-based social services and people working in this space. In her role alongside the SSPA team, she has the privilege of championing SSPA members and the aspirations and outcomes of children, rangatahi and whānau. Claire seeks to be kind, courageous and purpose-driven in her leadership practice, and enjoys using emerging technologies and tools that support this in her work alongside others. So her topic today, or her tech tool that she's talking about today, is Mural. And Claire, you told us that you've enjoyed using Mural in a number of spaces. It's been especially useful during these past few years when you've had to adapt to more online mahi, but seek to maintain connection and collaboration with each other around shared kaupapa. You particularly like that Mural is well set up for not-for-profits too. So, no mai haere mai, kei a koe te wā.
Tēnā koe e hoa, Ron. Thank you for that warm welcome and for the invitation to be a part of this series today. So thanks to Huie for all your mahi to bring people together and create this time for peer-to-peer learning, something that I think we can do more of and really value when we have the opportunity to do across our sector. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui kia koutou I hui hui nei tēnei ahi ahi. Warm greetings to everyone who's taken the time to come along and hopefully learn something. I've learned a lot from Vic already today, and hopefully you learned something from this little session from me today. And yes, as Ronya said, the tech tool, when you put the pātai to me, Ronya, what's one of my favourite tech tools? Mural was what sprang to mind immediately. So that's what I'll share with you over the next 10 minutes. I'll first just give a bit of an overview as to what Mural is. I wonder, some of you may have heard of it before, some of you mightn't. So I'll sort of just give a bit of 101 on what is Mural. I'll share with you a bit about how I've used it in my mahi. And then I'm actually going to take us into Mural and just show you around a bit to give you a sense of the tool and what it can offer. So in terms of what Mural is, basically it's a online whiteboard. Sounds a bit boring, but actually when you see it, I think you'll see that it's quite exciting, I think anyway. It's basically a way to bring people together in an online space to design things, solve problems, work collaboratively together. But also you can use it individually for yourself as well as a way to brainstorm things, to mind map. If any of you are into mind mapping, it's really handy for that if you do want to start to maybe move your note-taking and mind mapping from a physical notebook to something online, if you're maybe in the space of going paperless. For me, myself, I still can't quite let go of my physical notebook, but I do like to use Mural alongside it as well. And I find that it really appeals to people who have a bit of a sort of creative bent to their way of thinking and like to learn and connect and share visually as well. Because it is online and it is created with collaboration in mind, it is one of these really nifty tools that basically multiple people can be working on the same Mural whiteboard at the same time. And live editing. So I'm not going to have the opportunity to show you that today, but that is a feature that I really like about it. You can see what people are typing into your whiteboard as they're doing it in real time, which is quite cool. I think, you know, as Ronya alluded to up front in your introduction to me, as we find ourselves now in this more hybrid space of working, where sometimes across our teams we might have some people that are in one location, some people that are in the office together, but we will still need at certain times to come together and, you know, all be working on something, nutting through a problem together at the same time. I found that a tool like Mural can be really helpful for this. Also, I'm conscious that as we become more flexible with our work practices, for some teams and organisations, they might have someone who's located in a different space to everyone, a different location, maybe for family reasons, for example, or that we have dispersed teams around the country working in different locations. Mural can be really helpful when it comes to situations like that, because how it works, you can actually integrate it into your Teams calls, for example, have people on the screen so you can still see them whilst you're also live editing your Mural board. So I do think it's a really helpful tool as we are more in that hybrid, flexible workforce space that we many of us have moved into, and I think is going to be a feature of our work over the coming years as well. So that's a bit of an upfront sort of overview of what Mural is. In terms of some of the other ways that I've used it with my team and with others who I work with. So as Ronya mentioned, our organisation is a membership-based peak body. So we have members who are all around the motu and really conscious that we need to be collaborating together across that membership, but it can be super expensive to fly everyone into a place. We're also wanting to do our bit for climate justice and, keep the environment clean and sustainable. And so we seek to utilise something like Mural if we do want to bring together a big group of people to get their input on an issue across our membership. Earlier in the year, we had a hui of our members where we needed to get their feedback on how they were actually feeling about their membership and how we were serving them. And so as part of that hui, we used Mural to bring everyone in, to give them a space to connect and put their thoughts in live as we went through the meeting. And then we also were able to share the finished whiteboard out to everyone after the hui, say to anyone who couldn't make it, hey, check this out. You can see what others have shared during the meeting that we had together. And if you couldn't make it, you can still add to the whiteboard because we left it unlocked for a while so that they could add to it. And then because you can go back to see your murals or your whiteboards that you've created, they're always there for you to refer back to, which is really helpful as well. Another really useful application of Mural that I've utilised with my team is to use this as a space where we do our retrospectives. So if we've something that we do, for example, is we run a annual conference, Whakamanawa, the National Social Services Conference. After that conference, we came together on Mural because we were sort of all working in different locations at that point in time. And we ran our retrospective on the Mural board. And it's as we're now planning for next year's conference, it's been really helpful to go back and say, okay, look at that mural and see what did we record in real time as a reference point. So before I jump in and show you around briefly, did just want to also mention another thing that I love about Mural is that they are really great in terms of their support for charities. So it is free for us as charities to use Mural. You basically just need to go through a very quick online application process. I think, Barb, you shared the link there. Awesome. Thank you for that. If you're a charitable organisation, incorporated society, make the most of the fact that this free account is available. It's a really awesome tool, even just to experiment around with. So without further ado, I'm now going to just jump us into to Mural. If I'm just able to share my screen here, so just bear with me for one moment. Hopefully everyone's seeing that. I see a nod from you, Ronya. Thank you very much. So this is, once you've got your Mural account, this is sort of the home page. So I just navigate you around. You can see it shows you your recent murals that you've been working on here. So these are our recent ones. Down here, it's making suggestions for me around templates that I might like to use. And then over here, it's intuitive, it has a sidebar menu here that's going to be where you find most of the key buttons that you need to use. So for example, here, one thing I want to point out is this section here called Open Rooms. So basically we've got capacity within Mural to create different spaces for different people in your team. So we've got one for everyone in our organisation that we can put things in that we need to access across the team. And then our different team members, I've set up a room for each of them, which is a space where they're able to create their own murals. And of course, they can share them into the main room if they want to as well. It does mean that because everyone's got an individual room, they can use Mural as a tool to do their own personal, mind mapping for their work or brainstorming, which is nice, as well as work that cuts across the team. So then I'm going to show you how we create a new mural. So basically you click on that button there that I just clicked on called Create New Mural. It's telling me that it's going to be created in my room here, Claire's room. And then what I can do is usually I like to use a blank canvas mural. So select this option here and then just find your pink button down here, Create Mural. And then voila, it will come up into the mural space. And so essentially this is your whiteboard here. Down the side here, we have our buttons, which are where we are going to kind of find our functionalities. And up the top here as well, we have a few other buttons which sort of have some more advanced features. For example, you can actually run a voting session live if you're voting on, what idea people like best. There's also a laser pointer here that if you're demonstrating something, you can, be pointing. And then a timer as well. For example, if you want to do a live sprint kind of piece of work together online, you can use the timer as well. And then up across here in the upper right, we've got all your usual functions around, like your chat, for example. So you can say here, hey team, I've created for us. And then people can see what messages you've put in to prompt them around what's going on in this mural if you want to. You can also see here the activity, so you can see that it's saying that I created this mural a minute ago. As we edit the mural more, the activity is all going to be logged in there. So just to give you a quick live demo of how it works, here I've gone and selected text. Just brings up this box for us. I'll pop in, working in the social sector as our topic. I can give that a nice colourful background to make it look a bit more engaging. I can basically just easily drag and drop that anywhere in the space that I want to. I can then add some more text perhaps. Let's say opportunities. I can make this a bit smaller if I want to as well. Move it around. Again, give it a nice colour. It's really intuitive to sort of just follow the little indicators here, pull things around. Then something that's great in interactive sessions is the sticky notes. So anyone who's got access to the mural and is working on it live can go in and use these tools and be adding things to the mural. So here's a sticky note, for example. Can pop that anywhere we want, can start writing on that. Hello, how are you? Different colours that you can use, different shapes if you want to as well, just to mix things up as well. And then also you can add in things like images too, if you want to. So let's say something that's important in working in the social sector for our topic here would be, let's say, community. So let's pop that in. It will bring up a range of images there that you might be able to select from. And then that will pop up into your mural. You can drag and drop that around, that kind of thing. All the commands that you'd usually use, like Control-A, Control-Z, they apply in Mural as well. So there we go. I've just gone Control-A, selected everything. If I wanted to make everything smaller, I can just scrunch it down like that, move it around because I've grouped it together. And if I hit delete, it's just going to get rid of everything there for me as well. I also really like over here on these side buttons, you've got icons that you can choose from as well in case you want to add some icons to help support what you're focusing on. And also I like these features called frameworks as well, which give you frameworks for how you can organize your content. There's one in here particularly, they're in different categories, so you can just basically play around and have a look. But I really like this one in here under design, which is called, where is it? The really, what's it called? The really big value idea sketchpad. And it's just a really nice framework for if you are starting out on something new in your organization or your work. So it's sort of framed with business type language, but I find it can really be adapted to our work across the social sector. Takes you through things like value proposition. It's got some little directions here, and then you can basically just be typing in here onto it directly and change the different ways that you're doing that. So again, just a sort of little hidden feature that I thought I'd point out. But with anything in Mural, it's basically just a process of playing around, getting a feel for things. Before I wrap up, I just want to also show a few examples of how Mural kind of has been used by others. So in the team workspace, for example, I really like this little screen that shows you a team meeting for a virtual or a hybrid team. You can see this, how these names are moving around. It's kind of how it will show up if Mural is live and multiple of you are using it across the team. So this is a template. There's a range of templates in Mural that you can access and use for free as well. So they're pre-populated templates that you can then modify for your own use, or use as a bit of a starter, or even just how they are as frameworks for how you create murals. This one here is a really nice one too. If you're kicking off a new project across your team, takes you through what are your project goals, what are your success measures, your timeline, and you can, this is all fully customizable. You can fill it in to focus on your particular project. This one here is a customer journey map, or like you could use it as a service delivery map to map what you're doing across your organisation and your operations, perhaps if you're delivering services. This is a really quite sophisticated example of a process map or a mind map of how things connect. This is probably getting more into the advanced Mural space. And then over here, this is more sort of the grouping of creative ideas. Mural is another great tool for that as well. And then a couple of last ones. Once you get into a really advanced stage, these are the kinds of sophisticated sort of murals that you can start to put together and get into, some quite detailed use of the tool as well. I'll just stop sharing there for now, and I hope that starts to give you a bit of a sense of Mural. My key tip would just be to get in there and play around with it if you are interested. Hours of fun, I think, to play around and experiment with. So that would be the biggest pro for me about Mural. It's quite a fun tool to use. It's creative. They, as I said, have good charity offers, and also there's an integrated learning function within Mural where you can click on little interactive videos that will take you through different ways to use it, far better than I've been able to do today. The few cons about Mural, I think, are that it can be a bit overwhelming because there's so many options within it and what you can do with it. But as I say, once you have a play around with it, you'll soon decide if it's a tool for you or not. And I think the best utilisation of it in the space that we're working in anyway is really around that, engaging across teams, engaging with stakeholders, using it as a live tool, and then also for that sort of more personal work brainstorming and planning as well. I will leave it there. I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to kōrero today, and hand back over to you, Ronya. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Claire. Really, really great demonstration. Thank you. From the very small piece of work to unlimited opportunities to use Mural as a kind of online whiteboard collaborating tool. One of the questions that come through, Claire, was just around how you then, once you've got it online and you've got all your things there, are there any options of converting these whiteboards into kind of PDFs, PowerPoints, and so on, or does it stay on Mural? How do you get it off there if you need it to?
Absolutely, great question. You can download your whiteboard. Sorry, I should have shown you that. It's one of those little options up in the top right of your Mural, where basically there's like a sort of download icon, that arrow that's going down, and you just click on it. It gives you some different options to download as a a PDF or a PNG would be the ones that we would probably most use. And then from there, if you want to drop it into your PowerPoint, it'll just be an easy copy and paste. So again, another really handy feature of it as well. And love seeing your messages, Marion and Kathy. Glad you're liking the look of this and going to have a play around. That's awesome.
Great, thank you. Ngā mihi nui ki a koe iwa. So thank you also, Claire, for your wonderful kōrero and your time with us and sharing about mural. So we are 15 minutes away from the end of our session, but I do invite anybody on this call today to stick around past the hour with us if you wanted to have another kind of more an informal kōrero. It won't be recorded, so you're welcome to stay with us and we can ask more questions and have a chat. Now I'm going to whiz through a tech tool that I wanted to share with you today, and it's called Humanitix. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen, and then if there's time also, I'd like to jump in and give you a very quick demonstration of what Humanitix is. So if you bear with me, I've got it. So you should be able to see my screen. So Humanitix, what is it? So it's really an event ticketing platform with a mission. So Humanitix is it's actually a charitable organization in New Zealand and Australia. And their mission is to really bring people together to inspire and invest in humanity. So they raise funds for education projects and through their really low cost booking fees on any ticket sales. So it is actually free for anybody to use for free events. There's a very small cost booking fees for ticket sales. So when you start charging for your events, it's around the 5% mark. And but you can also apply for a not-for-profit discounted rate, and it goes down to 3%. But all the profit that they make on booking fees is redirected into charitable projects. All of it. And they have got, they're working with one local charity in New Zealand and partnering with the Next Foundation to help vet the charities that they work with in New Zealand. And so some of that profit might go to the New Zealand-based charity, and some other profit might go to some of the international charities as well. It's all within the kaupapa of trying to close the education gap for disadvantaged pupils across Aotearoa and overseas. And so it's a really intuitive and easy to use platform, and it's a registered charity itself, and they have a volunteer board of directors. This is
Ronia, I don't know if did we?
Yep, can you see me?
We can now. Yes, I don't know if it was me or everyone else, but yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. I hope everybody else was able to hear me. We'll just keep going. So just how do I use it? So I use it within Huie for all of our event ticketing, registrations and event management. So I set up, promote and manage our events. We collect and manage registrations. We also communicate with our audience prior and post events directly through the platform using an email campaign feature. We can also link several events that we're running on the same link, so that when we go out and share about a particular series, that what we do with this one, we just share one link and don't have to send links for each individual event. We can also collect donations on Humanitix. We check in participants on the day through a mobile app. And you can also generate attendee reports, integrate it with MailChimp and Canva, for example, sync any new contacts to your audience list directly to your MailChimp list if you have one. And you get human support. And so you get real event experts helping you with your setting up of events in real time. So that's really, really great as well. So those are just some of the features that Humanitix has. Really makes event management a breeze. So it makes it really, really easy and intuitive to use. They talk my kind of language, so that they get the community sector because they're also part of the sector. They're a medium-sized charity. And of course, the no-brainer for purpose model. So 100% of profits from booking fees goes to funding education projects in New Zealand and overseas. I can be really confident that the data I collect is safe. So they are compliant with privacy, data storage, and security and payment principles, and they're really transparent about it as well. They've also introduced new accessibility standards in event ticketing. So from web content being accessible to also physical event accessibility. And as I say, I can talk to a real person in real time. So what's the time? We've got maybe a couple more minutes. If I show you real quick, jump into Humanitix before we finish. So this is just an overview page of all the events that we have got going on at the moment on Humanitix. And so I just wanted to show you, I've created kind of a test event, but this is usually the page where I would start at. So this is your event basics where you put in all your event information. You can then schedule it, so you can either run it as a single event or as a recurring event, and pop in those dates here. Again, it's really easy to navigate. And then you've got your event information, so you can have a banner at the start of your event, and can link it to Canva if you're working on Canva, but also you can upload it from your computer. And that's where you pop in your event information. You can then specify a category for the event, as well as any refund information as well. In terms of the ticket type, so we run, and most of our, if not all of our events have been free. And so we just use that as this is your general admission to your to this event. We still want people to register, but you can also then put in your paid tickets, and you have the option here to create a donation ticket as well. Some of the other really interesting features here is your checkout questions. So when people register on your for your event, once they click register, they are asked a set of questions, and you can specify them here. We usually ask a question around accessibility requirements, and so you can customize them here. There is your managed attendees. This is where you can then look into who's coming. You can talk to them directly through this list as well, which I'll show you in a moment, but I haven't got any here right now. But it is you can download the attendees as a Excel spreadsheet as well if you want to, and in the end you can also download an attendee report after your event. So there are several report options that you can generate from this platform. And then your overview page is really around, here's your webinar, your event link, which you can customize, and it gives you an overview of how many tickets you've sold, how many monies come in, whether that's through ticket sale or donation, and what are your fees and so on. And so you can have a look through that. The email campaigns, this is where we talk to people directly, and just set up, you can set up reminder emails, or you can use these templates or set a blank email to all your attendees prior, during, after the event. So we communicate a lot to our attendees afterwards as well, giving them links and information on the event that's just happened. And so that's a way for us to also keep that communication. I think I'm going to jump out there because we are running out of, or coming to the end of our session, and I'd really love to give anybody who's still here an opportunity to ask a question, but also give Barbara and Marion an opportunity to briefly share about their Digital Stuff We Love platform as part of NZ Navigator Trust. So if I can't see any questions here at the moment, but as I said, yeah, stick around and join us for more kōrero afterwards. But if that's okay with everybody, I'll ask Barbara or Marion, who's going to talk to us today? Marion.
Hey, look, it's great. It's great to see these tools in action and being used, because NZ Navigator hosts a website called Digital Stuff We Love, where all of these tools are there. But it's so much more powerful to see people talking about them with passion about how they use them. So Digital Stuff We Love is hosted by NZ Navigator Trust. It's a curated collection of smart and clever digital tools to help community organisations do their job, whatever their job is, better. So what we've done is on your behalf, on behalf of the community sector, collated the tools, collected the information, and we're always open to have people saying, gosh, have you seen that, whatever that is, because it's really evident that new things are coming along, and the efficiency of them and the integration of these tools is becoming paramount for community organisations. So people can actually focus their attention looking at digital stuff on, I need something about marketing, I need something about administration, I need something about security. So the tools are collected for you. And we kind of look at them and say, how much do they cost? Are they appropriate to the New Zealand environment? Is it paid? Are there additional features? So what we want to do is to encourage as many community organisations as possible to go to the website, go to Digital Stuff We Love, use it. There's another partner website there, or platform there, which is CommunityNet Aotearoa, which many people have used for many years. All of the stuff on CommunityNet is free. But we created digital stuff because many of the new tools are requiring a sort of a sign up or a fee, or have built in, once you've signed up, there's an additional cost. So all I can do is leave you with the excitement of going into digital stuff and finding more things like we've learned about today. This has been a great opportunity for me to revisit some of the things that I knew about, but I hadn't actually ever got the courage to go into. So thank you very much, everybody, for who's been presenting today. And thank you for this opportunity to work with Huia, which is an amazing collaboration of community organisations, because we definitely need to collaborate in our sector because there's a lot of work to do. So thank you. Thanks, Ronya.
Kia ora, Marianne. Nicely put. And great. So this brings us to the end of our session today. And if you bear with me just 1 second. So I've shared the tool. I've shared a link in the chat to the Digital Stuff We Love tool. We'd also love you to consider coming to our final session next week on team tools. So another opportunity to learn about some tech tools that bring people together, that help collaborate in an online and offline space. Yeah, please join us. Maybe Saka can pop the link in the chat for us as well. And so with that, I just really want to thank our speakers today and our partners and also our attendees for joining us today for this session on online meetings and events. So with that, I will hand over to Saka to close us with a karakia.
Sorry, I was just posting the event. Ke te mihe ki o koutou katoa, me ino tātou karakia whakamotanga. Kia tau, kia tātou katoa, te atawhai o tō tātou ariki, o ihu karaiti me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhitanga, tahitanga, ki te wairua tapu, ake, amene.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.